Welcome to the Star Wars galaxy, buddy. Sounds cool, right? Well, maybe not, because depending on what species you ended up as, your entire life could range from pretty decent to why does everything hurt? In this video, we're jumping into what it really feels like to live as different species in the galaxy, and you'll feel it all like you're walking in their boots. So grab a snack, get comfortable, and settle in. This is going to be such an experience. And drop a comment letting me know where you're tuning in from. It's always awesome seeing where Star Wars fans are watching from across the galaxy. Now, let's begin. First things first, let's talk about the species that broke the galaxy's understanding of aging, the Force and baby behavior, Yoda's people. The species with no official name, no confirmed homeworld, confirmed culture, and no confirmed anything. From day one, your life is basically wrapped in mystery. You come into the galaxy like a walking spoiler. Even the Jedi, who love sticking their noses in every archive in existence, have almost nothing on your people. You know how most species babies grow up fast? Humans hit their rebellious teenage phase at like age 13. Twi'leks kids run errands before they're 8. Wookiee toddlers are climbing 300-meter trees by age 5. You're still drooling on yourself at age 45. Being born as Yoda's species means that your childhood lasts longer than some wars. The galaxy changes governments faster than you grow teeth. People come and go, starships evolve, entire political eras happen, and you're still sitting in your floating crib, munching on snacks with that curious, I understand everything, but will say nothing, look on your face. It's cute at first. Year 1, cute. Year 10, still cute. Year 25, people are like, bro, shouldn't you be talking by now? Grogu proved it perfectly. You're old enough to have opinions, but too young to express them in any language besides coos, squeaks, and the occasional Force push. And the Force? Oh yeah, that's the other thing. You're basically born Force sensitive. Not a little bit, a lot. Other kids throw toys, you throw stormtroopers, other kids need nap time. You need a nap because you accidentally levitated an entire animal and your tiny body said, battery low. The galaxy hasn't officially confirmed that every member of your species is powerful, but let's be real, every single one we've met has been a Force prodigy. Yoda, Yaddle, Grogu, that's a 3-for-3 ratio. If you're born into this species, odds are your first tantrum is going to look like a minor telekinetic event. Parents probably need to baby-proof the house with anti-gravity locks. And while we're talking about power, your body doesn't match it at all. You're tiny, pocket-sized. You look like a green plush toy that somehow learned philosophy. Imagine being able to sense emotions, control objects with your mind, lightly nudge the future, but also not being tall enough to reach the table. You walk into situations with this weird combination of cosmic importance and physical inconvenience. You don't even get a species name. Rodians have Rodians. Wookiees have Wookiees. You're labelled as Yoda's species. That mystery gives your people a level of cosmic respect nobody else has. When a member of your species shows up, people don't ask, where are you from? They ask, oh no, what does the Force want this time? You're automatically treated like you're important. And let's talk about speech. You don't talk like everyone else. It's just how your species structures sentences. Backwards, rhythmic, almost poetic, except it's natural to you. As a kid, people think you're messing around. Humans think you talk like that to sound dramatic. But nope, that's just your species' verbal wiring. You probably hear basic differently too. Maybe for you, reversing sentence order is just how it makes sense in your head. Your species lives for centuries. That sounds peaceful, but imagine the emotional weight, watching every friend from shorter-lived species grow old, watching the galaxy repeat mistakes you warned them about, experiencing multiple generations of students repeating the same errors. And because you age so slowly, you spend half your young life being underestimated. Grogu is 50 and people treat him like he's 2. Yoda was 100 and still considered youngish. You don't get taken seriously for the first few decades. On top of that, you're tiny forever, even as an adult. Good luck finding stores that carry infant size, but for 400-year-olds. Another downside, everyone wants to study you. Scholars, Jedi historians, Force theorists, everyone wants to figure out where your species came from. That gets tiring. So what's the conclusion? Being born as Yoda's species is weird, cool, frustrating, adorable, and totally unique. The Zabrak. You see a Zabrak and you know you're looking at someone who means business. You know him, you love him. Now, if the only Zabrak that pops into your head is the red and black nightmare known as Darth Maul. I don't blame you. The guy is a legend. Thinking of the entire Zabrak species as just the Darth Maul guys is like seeing a single volcano and thinking you understand the whole planet. You're missing the vast, complex continent underneath. Let's start with the most obvious thing, the look. It's a killer design. The facial tattoos are not some random fashion choice, like a punk rocker deciding to get inked on a whim. No, for a Zabrak, those tattoos are a core part of their identity. Every single pattern is unique. It's a rite of passage they go through in their adolescence. The process is incredibly painful, and enduring that pain is a public declaration of their strength and their commitment to their culture. It's their signature, written on their skin, in a language of symbols and endurance. And then you've got the horns, those distinctive rings of horns. They're called horns, but they're actually bony growths called ossiconies. The number and arrangement can vary from clan to clan, from family to family. Some have a single ring, some have double rings, some have them sweeping back. They're like a built-in crown, a mark of their heritage that they can't hide even if they wanted to. So, where do these brilliant, stubborn people come from? Their homeworld is Iridonia. It's a harsh, rugged world of jagged mountain ranges, deep canyons, and brutal, rocky deserts. The atmosphere is thin, the resources are scarce, and survival is a daily struggle. A planet like that doesn't produce soft people. It forges survivors. It builds a culture where strength, resilience, and self-reliance aren't just admired, they're necessary for breathing another day. From the moment they're born, a Zabrak is taught to rely on themselves, to overcome any obstacle, and to take pride in their ability to endure. This brings me to a crucial point that a lot of people miss. The Zabrak are one of the earliest spacefaring species in the galaxy. Their ambition and drive was so powerful that they looked up at the stars and said, "We're going out there." They became explorers and colonists. They established settlements on other worlds. This is why you get different subspecies of Zabrak. The most famous of these colony worlds is Dathomir. Now, Dathomir is weird. It's a planet steeped in the Force, but specifically the dark side, thanks to the Night Sister witches who rule the Roost. The Zabrak who settled there, the Dathomirian Zabrak, evolved differently. They interbred with the Night Sisters and other native species, leading to those iconic red, yellow, or black skin tones. They are still Zabrak, still tough, still proud, still horned, but their culture is deeply intertwined with dark side magics and a matriarchal, witch-led society. So Maul and his brother Savage Opress are like the ultimate examples of Iridonian toughness, filtered through a Dathomirian nightmare. But let's get back to the core Zabrak personality, because it's a masterpiece of galactic character design. The single best word to describe them is determined. When a Zabrak sets their mind to something, the universe itself had better get out of the way. They are famously, almost comically stubborn. You cannot talk a Zabrak out of a decision once it's made. They see perseverance as the highest virtue. Giving up is a shame far worse than failing. This extends into every part of their lives. They are natural problem solvers. You find them in careers that require focus and grit. Engineers, architects, mercenaries, bounty hunters, soldiers. They're the kind of people who look at a broken hyperdrive, grunt, and then spend the next 36 hours straight taking it apart and putting it back together until it works perfectly. They don't get frustrated, they get focused. And a huge part of why they can do this is their absolutely insane biology. This is one of my favourite bits. Zabrak have a binary circulatory system. That's a fancy way of saying they have two hearts. This gives them ridiculous stamina and a phenomenal ability to survive trauma. It's the ultimate backup system. If one heart is damaged, the other can keep them going long enough to find help or, finish strangling the guy who shot them. It also contributes to their incredible pain tolerance. Combined with their cultural training, a Zabrak can shrug off injuries that would leave a human screaming on the floor. They've literally been conditioned since birth to see pain as a sensation to be mastered, not a reason to quit. In a fight, this is a terrifying advantage. Imagine facing an opponent who you shoot, and instead of going down, they just get angrier and more focused. That's your average Zabrak warrior. This toughness is baked into their history. They've had to fight for everything. On Iridonia, they battled terrifying native predators. As explorers, they clashed with other species and dealt with the dangers of the unknown. They have a long, proud martial tradition. They are masters of many forms of combat, from hand to blaster rifles. They don't start fights for no reason. They're not bullies, and they hold grudges. Oh boy, do they hold grudges. A Zabrak's memory for an insult is long and detailed. Their sense of justice and honor is absolute. And if you wrong them, they will wait years, decades for the right moment to settle the score. But it's not all grim determination and holding on to anger. There's a deep, profound loyalty there. Earning the trust of a Zabrak is hard, but once you do, you have a friend for life. They will stand by you through anything. They value their clan and their family above all else. That same stubbornness that makes them a nightmare enemy makes them an unshakable ally. We see this duality perfectly in the two most famous Zabrak in the saga. On one side, you have Darth Maul, the ultimate expression of Zabrak determination, twisted by the dark side. His entire life is a monument to obsession and revenge. He gets cut in half, and what does he do? He uses his hatred and his sheer will to survive, cobbling together a spider-like mechanical lower body and festering in a trash heap for a decade, all while his mind focuses on one thing: revenge on Obi-Wan Kenobi. On the flip side, you have Jedi Master Eth Koth. He sat on the Jedi High Council. He was a pillar of the Order, known for his calm demeanor and unwavering dedication. He channeled that famous Zabrak focus and endurance into the Jedi way. He was a peacekeeper, a mediator, a warrior for light and order. He represents the other path a Zabrak can take, using that incredible willpower for protection and wisdom. Their culture reflects all of this. Their art is bold and structural. Their architecture is monumental and built to last for ages. They don't do flimsy. If a Zabrak builds a bridge, it's going to hold up for 1,000 years. Their technology is the same way, over-engineered, reliable, and brutally functional. A Zabrak-made blaster might not be the prettiest, but it will never, ever jam, even if you drop it in a swamp and then run it over with a speeder. If you ever wanted to wake up one day and immediately feel like the galaxy gave you a natural main character buff, being a Twi'lek would definitely give you that energy. First thing you deal with? Ryloth, your home planet, which is absolutely gorgeous and absolutely ridiculous at the same time. Ryloth is one of those planets that got described differently, depending on who was writing the story. In the old Legends stuff, it didn't spin at all. One side was permanently cooking, the other was freezing, and life took place in this narrow twilight zone in between. But in canon, especially in the Clone Wars, you can see the planet rotating and getting normal day-night cycles. The views are amazing though, but yeah, the whole only a small slice of the planet is livable thing gets annoying. You can't wander too far, or the weather just decides to end your day. Inside Twi'lek homes though, whole different energy. If you grew up with quiet dinners, enjoy that memory while you can. People talk over each other, laugh loudly, share food constantly, and basically treat every evening like a mini get-together. There's always someone cooking something, someone humming a tune, and someone retelling a story with more dramatic hand gestures every time they tell it. It's warm, it's cozy, and it kind of feels like you're living inside a group hug. But with that warmth comes the classic, everyone has an opinion about your life problem. Twi'lek families don't do the whole subtle comment thing. If your clothes look weird, they'll say it. If you're tired, someone will loudly declare it to the whole room. If your cooking needs more spice, you'll hear about it whether you asked or not. You love them, but every now and then you're like, please, I beg you, let me eat in silence for once. As a kid, you're never bored because Twi'lek kids get involved in everything. You grow up learning little skills, balancing on cliff paths, talking to strangers politely, dodging arguments in tight marketplaces. You basically speedrun social development without even trying. Of course, that also means you never really get downtime. Twi'lek parents love to say things like, "You're so full of energy," which is code for, "We have 5 errands for you today." Childhood is fun, but you also get volunteered for everything. Carrying stuff, decorating, helping younger kids, setting tables during festivals. You start learning the art of disappearing when chores begin. Now, Twi'leks love clans. They're big family networks, with traditions, recipes, colours, little rivalries, and enough personality to fill a whole season of a reality show. Being in a clan feels like having dozens of relatives who all want you to succeed, and also all want to know where you were last night, why you didn't come to the festival, and whether you still remember the dance steps from last year. Clan events are great though. There's music, dancing, food everywhere, people joking around, colourful decorations, and that one relative who treats every festival like they're the main character of a musical. But clans come with obligations. You can't skip events without getting at least 3 holo messages asking if you're healthy, alive, or avoiding everyone. It's sweet, but a lot. Daily life on Ryloth moves at a lively pace. Markets open early with vendors selling fabric, spices, tools, and snacks you definitely shouldn't eat before noon. Musicians tune instruments. Kids weave through crowds. People call out greetings from rooftops. It's lively in a way that makes every day feel like something's happening. Twi'leks towns feel social by default. It's hard to feel lonely when 20 people greet you on your 5-minute walk to buy bread. But sometimes the noise gets overwhelming. Markets can go from charming to chaotic in seconds. Too many voices, too much motion. The occasional argument about spice prices. If you're not in the mood, the whole place feels like sensory overload. One thing the galaxy gets right about Twi'leks is how artistic they are. Dancing, singing, carving, fabric dyeing. Expression is part of daily life, not something for special occasions. Homes are decorated with bright patterns. Clothes reflect mood and tradition, and music is everywhere. But because Twi'leks are expressive, people assume you're always on. If you're quiet one day, someone will immediately ask if you're sick or sad. If you skip a dance, people assume you're heartbroken. There's pressure to be lively, even when you're having a "can everyone please stop talking for 5 minutes" kind of day. The galaxy sees Twi'leks as approachable, warm, charismatic people. And yeah, they usually are. Twi'leks blend into new environments easily, make friends fast, and communicate well. People include you in conversations within seconds, even if you didn't actually mean to join. But again, assumptions follow you everywhere. People think you're confident even if you're shy, or social even if you prefer staying home. And because they think they know you, you end up clarifying your personality more often than you'd like. Famous Twi'leks add to that too. Isla Secura shows the galaxy that Twi'leks can be Jedi warriors. Hera Syndulla shows they're natural pilots and leaders. Cham Syndulla turns them into symbols of resilience. And Bib Fortuna, well, he's proof that every species has one family disaster nobody claims. These icons inspire you, but also create that weird expectation that you must also be a pilot, or a fighter, or a hero, or at least extremely competent. Sometimes you just want to run a bakery and not worry about living up to Hera's flight record. Career options are wide open. Pilots, medics, engineers, diplomats, artists, merchants, guards, cooks. Twi'leks learn fast and communicate well, so they fit basically anywhere. But assumptions creep into work too. You could be a brilliant engineer, and someone will still ask if you've ever thought about singing. You get used to smiling through it. Travel is easy for Twi'leks because they adapt quickly. Languages are no problem, new cultures feel exciting, and they build friendships everywhere. Politics on Ryloth is basically a never-ending community meeting where everyone has thoughts and none of them match. Leaders change often, councils debate everything, clans give opinions even when nobody asked. It's a lot of discussion for not a lot of actual change. Off-world Twi'leks build colourful communities in big cities. Restaurants, music clubs, market stalls, cozy neighbourhoods, they make places feel alive. Relationships? Twi'leks are some of the most loyal, affectionate partners in the galaxy. They communicate well, they show care openly, they're supportive, and they love deeply. Friendships last forever. But that emotional openness also makes Twi'leks absorb tension fast. If someone acts distant, they feel it. They worry, they overthink. Being compassionate is beautiful, but also draining. And that's Twi'lek life. Bright, warm, expressive, full of community and culture. Also loud, busy, full of expectations, and occasionally a bit too emotional. So let's say you're born a Wookiee. First thing that hits you? Size. You're basically born with the future height of an NBA player already booked into your DNA. Even as a kid, you take up so much space that people instinctively step aside when you walk past, like they subconsciously know you're not fitting through the center of the hallway anyway. If you're used to being short or normal-sized, Wookiee life flips that entire idea upside down, and with size comes strength. The kind of strength where lifting heavy things doesn't feel like exercise. It just feels like picking something up. You grab crates like they're pillows. You pull open heavy doors like they're nothing. And people notice, Even before they know your name, they know you're strong. Which sounds flattering, until you realise you're about to become the designated lifter for the next 60 years. Anyway, let's talk about your childhood environment. Kashyyyk. It's not a planet, it's a vertical ecosystem pretending to be one. Everything is stacked in layers. The top of the trees catches the sunlight. The middle layers are where the villages sit like giant wooden nests. And way down at the bottom, where even Wookiees hesitate to go, that's where the creatures with too many teeth live. You don't really spend much time worrying about the planet's layout though. As a Wookiee kid, it all feels normal. Climbing trees the size of skyscrapers? Normal. Balancing on branches that would give a human vertigo? Normal. Swinging on vines while roaring with your friends? Extremely normal. If you saw a bunch of Wookiee toddlers from another species' perspective, you'd probably think you just stumbled into the most dangerous daycare in the galaxy. And the humidity? Oh man. Kashyyyk's air is thick, warm and sticky enough to make your fur feel like someone wrapped you in several sweaters and then put you in a sauna. It's cozy sometimes, but mostly it's, why am I damp again? Energy. Your fur traps heat, traps water, traps pollen, traps everything. If you don't groom regularly, you start looking like someone glued a carpet to a thundercloud. But despite all that, growing up on Kashyyyk feels comforting. Wookiee homes are built deep into the trees, carved and woven together like living architecture. They smell like wood, herbs, and whatever your parents are cooking. There's always someone home. Family life is one of the strongest parts of being a Wookiee. They're affectionate in a big physical way. Lots of hugs, lots of deep warm rumbles, lots of touching heads to show comfort. If you're the type who likes being physically close to people, being a Wookiee is heaven. If you're the type who needs personal space, well, let's just say alone time is something you'll have to fight for. But along with the love comes expectation. Wookiee families are supportive, but they are absolutely planning your future strength. If you're old enough to walk, you're old enough to carry something. Not something heavy at first, but eventually your parents will give you just a small basket and then just a little crate. And then you blink and suddenly you're hauling furniture because you're big enough now. Your size makes you useful. And Wookiees love being useful. The funniest part of childhood is learning your own volume. Wookiee kids are loud. Not on purpose, it's just the natural roar, growl, rumble thing they do. You don't learn to roar. You learn how not to shatter dishes every time you get excited. Kashyyyk wildlife ranges from "aw cute" to "absolutely not." As a Wookiee, you learn quickly which animals to pet and which animals to respect, from a distance of at least 2 branches away. The planet is alive, chaotic, and never quiet. Wookiees have one of the richest cultures in Star Wars, but outsiders rarely get the full picture. Nobody actually talks about how artistic Wookiees are. They craft beautiful bows, instruments, armor, decorations. Everything has patterns, meaning, and craftsmanship behind it. When a Wookiee gives you something they made, even if it's just a small carving, that's basically a declaration of respect. Music is big too. Deep drums, harmonic roars, rhythm that feels like it echoes through the trees. Wookiee celebrations are wild. Feasts, singing, dancing, huge gatherings where everyone joins in. And food. Wookiee food is a whole experience. If you're ever served a spicy Kashyyyk stew, prepare for a flavor punch, so strong it might spiritually reset you. But traditions also come with rules. Respect for elders is huge. Rituals matter. And then there's the life debt, the thing everyone jokes about, but actually means something deep in their culture. It's not something Wookiees hand out casually. It's a bond, a promise, a part of their identity. Beautiful, but if you're born shy or introverted, that level of emotional commitment can feel like carrying a small moon. Being respected is great, until people start assuming things. Someone always asks you to lift furniture. Someone always suggests you handle security. Someone always warns their friend not to anger the Wookiee. Even if you're the quietest, gentlest soul in the building, you still accidentally intimidate people just by existing. It's the downside of being built like a fluffy tank. Famous Wookiees shaped this reputation too. Chewbacca alone gave the galaxy an image of Wookiees as loyal, fearless partners who fly ships, fix hyperdrives, and yell at people when they deserve it. Tarful made them look like natural warriors and leaders. So naturally, everyone expects you to also be amazing with tech or scary in battle. If you're not, people get confused, like, what do you mean you don't know how to fix a starship engine? Aren't you Wookiee? Working off-world is another adventure. Ships are too small, chairs are too short, bunks are a joke, and door frames exist purely to test your forehead's durability. You shed fur everywhere. It sticks to vents, chairs, clothes, food, everything. Maintenance crews hate it. People you barely know will pluck Wookiee fur off their jacket and stare at you like, explain yourself. But the biggest problem? Homesickness. No matter how exciting travel gets, Kashyyyk is Kashyyyk. The air, the sounds, the trees, the feeling of being surrounded by life. Wookiees are deeply connected to their home. Off-world life feels metallic and cramped. Too much metal. Not enough wind. Not enough space to stretch without breaking furniture. Relationships? Wookiees are some of the most loving people you'll ever meet. They're protective without being controlling, affectionate without being clingy, supportive without being smothering. A Wookiee friend is a friend for life. A Wookiee partner is the kind of partner who will fix your ship, cook for you, punch your enemies, and carve you a tiny statue, just because they were thinking about you. The emotional side of Wookiees is something the galaxy doesn't talk about enough. They feel deeply, they care deeply, and they'll stand by people even when it's hard. That loyalty is their greatest strength, but also something that can exhaust them. Being the emotional anchor for everyone around you gets heavy. So what's the final word on being born a Wookiee? Honestly, it's amazing, but exhausting. Wookiee language, Shiri-Wook, is another fun piece of lore that shapes your entire life. It's not that Wookiees can't speak basic. Their vocal cords literally don't make the right shapes or sounds. Outsiders hear a roar, but other Wookiees hear, "Bro, relax, I didn't steal your tools." And the funny part is that Wookiees can understand basic perfectly fine. So half your adult life is listening to people talk about you while they assume you only speak big raw noises. The roughest part of Wookiee history is definitely the Imperial era. Kashyyyk got occupied early, and Wookiees were forced into labor because of their strength and skills. Entire villages were taken, families separated, and many Wookiees ended up building Imperial machines or working in harsh camps. Chewbacca himself lived through that. Even though Wookiees stayed hopeful and united, it's easily the part of their story that made life the hardest. If you were born around that time, the word empire basically meant trouble. If you're born a Tusken, the first thing you learn is that the galaxy will judge you long before it ever meets you. People hear Tusken Raider and instantly imagine a screaming figure waving a rifle around, which is honestly unfair because most of your mornings start with something way less intimidating, like brushing sand out of your gear or trying to wrangle a stubborn bantha who has decided it will not move until it feels emotionally ready. Life in a Tusken tribe isn't chaos. It's routine, strict routine, predictable routine. Actually, kind of cozy if you ignore the part where every breeze tries to exfoliate your face off. What makes Tusken life interesting is that you grow up inside a community that's incredibly close. You're not alone. You're never alone. You're surrounded by family, elders, siblings, cousins, bond partners, and the occasional bantha who thinks it's one of your siblings. Everything is communal. Meals, chores, guarding the perimeter, collecting water, even sitting around the fire at night, making soft, rhythmic sounds. And let's talk about childhood, because Tusken kids have one of the most unique childhoods in the galaxy. While other children play with toys or run in parks, your playground is a shifting sea of dunes that can swallow your legs up to the knees if you step wrong. Your first lesson is how to walk without sinking. Your second is how to fall without eating a mouthful of sand. And your third is how to get back up while pretending you totally meant to fall, because maintaining dignity is apparently very important. Elders show you how to wrap your robes properly, which sounds simple until you try doing it yourself and accidentally block your own vision. They show you how to communicate with hand signals and body language, because your mask covers your entire face, and the desert wind absolutely loves stealing the subtle sounds of your voice. They teach you to ride a bantha, which is basically like riding a fluffy boulder that thinks it's a dog, and eventually they hand you a training Gaddafi stick. See, Tuskens aren't born into violence. The raiding part comes later, and even then, it's not what outsiders think. To a Tusken, raiding isn't random attack time. It's more like territory management, resource gathering, and reminding outsiders that, hey, this land was ours before your uncle decided to build a moisture farm here. But let's pause that and talk about Tatooine itself, your personal oven of a home. The desert starts early and ends never. The sun is always doing too much. The heat is intense enough to make your robes stick to you, and the sand gets inside every layer of your clothing like it has a personal vendetta. Then night hits, and everything is suddenly freezing, because apparently the desert doesn't believe in moderation. If you grow up here, you learn to appreciate shade like it's a precious mineral. You learn to drink water like you're hoarding it. And you develop a sixth sense for incoming sandstorms, mostly because you can hear the wind say, "Good luck, idiot," before it arrives. Now, here's the funny part. Despite how rough Tatooine looks, Tusken culture is actually incredibly rich. Every tribe has its own rituals, its own colours, its own style of robe wrapping, its own way of singing. You hear stories passed down from elders about ancient clans, lost relatives, and the time some unlucky outsider tried to pet a bantha and nearly lost an arm. Around the fire, you learn that masks aren't just masks, they're identity. A Tusken's face is private, sacred, shared with family, tribe, and nobody else. The galaxy thinks it's mysterious, but for Tuskens it's simply tradition, just like keeping your robes wrapped tight and your weapons polished. But let's be honest, there are downsides. The mask is, well, annoying sometimes. You can't take it off casually. Eating is a whole production. If you're a messy eater as a kid, good luck. Food pieces go everywhere except where you want them. And talking? Forget it. Outsiders can barely understand you. The good news is that you get very good at hand signs and dramatic pointing. Then there's the bantha smell. They're loyal, gentle, stubborn, adorable, and basically emotional support animals, the size of speeders. But they smell like they rolled in hot wet dust and then sat in the sun for 12 hours. Growing up, Tusken means getting used to that smell early, because banthas are always around, always. You can't escape them, even if you want to. The galaxy thinks Tuskens are savages. That's because most species only meet Tuskens during raids, when tensions are high, land disputes flare up, or settlers ignore Tusken territory markers. People see the mask, the robes, the staff, the loud growls, and assume enemy. Nobody sees the part where Tuskens raise kids, tell stories, care for elders, and help each other through the desert. You grow up knowing that the outside world fears you, even the ones who've never met you. Imagine being a kid and realizing that everyone off-world thinks your family is a threat simply for existing. It doesn't feel tragic, but it does feel isolating. You don't hate outsiders, you just expect them to misunderstand you immediately. Many tribes see the desert as sacred, as something to be protected. Settlers, meanwhile, see Tatooine as empty land to build on. So conflict becomes a cycle. Outsiders push into Tusken territory, Tuskens push back, and both sides misunderstand the other's intentions. The Hutts make it worse by stirring conflict. Moisture farmers make it worse by ignoring boundaries. And the Jedi? They show up twice a century, do something dramatic, and leave everyone confused. Now, let's not pretend raiding isn't part of Tusken life. It's organized, ritualized, governed by elders who choose targets based on resources, territory, or survival needs. But there are upsides too. Being born a Tusken means growing up in one of the tightest communities in the galaxy. And your skills? Bro, you become a survival machine. You can track footprints on sand, you can predict storms, you can hit targets at long distances with a rifle most species can't even lift properly. You know how to hide, how to signal silently, how to move through desert terrain without leaving tracks. If the galaxy had a Desert Impossible difficulty mode, Tuskens would be the tutorial. But yes, it sucks sometimes. Let's not sugarcoat it. Being Tusken means sand in places nobody talks about, outsiders avoiding you, moisture farmers glaring at you for breathing, having to wear layers even when it's 40 degrees Celsius, never being able to casually take your mask off for a snack, your entire culture being misrepresented by travelers who only see the worst moments, and constantly smelling like bantha because one followed you home. And yet, Tuskens have some of the strongest bonds of any species. If you're born a Jawa, the first thing you realize is that the galaxy has no idea who you are. Everyone instantly imagines you sprinting off with their favorite droid under your arm. Meanwhile, you're just trying to figure out if that old hyperdrive coil is worth a trade or if it's secretly held together with tape and hopeless optimism. The funny thing is, Jawas don't wake up thinking about stealing anything. They wake up thinking about trade. Trade is life. Trade is culture. trade is breakfast, lunch and dinner. When you're born into a Jawa clan, your first lullabies weren't gentle songs. They were the sounds of bartering coming from 3 different corners of the sandcrawler. Deals happen constantly. Someone is always offering something, arguing about value, or trying to convince an elder that a broken vaporator really can be repaired this time. Being Jawa small shapes your whole world. You're tiny, even for Star Wars standards, which means you move through crowds like a child who knows all the shortcuts. Other species overlook you physically, but that's fine because Jawas treat height like a minor inconvenience, not a disadvantage. Your whole society is built around cleverness, not muscle. Everything in your world, tools inside rooms, is sized for someone who could comfortably hide inside a crate, if needed. Which, to be fair, is a skill Jawa kids master extremely early. Where's the baby becomes a daily game until someone finds them asleep inside an old coolant tank. Childhood in a sandcrawler is something no outsider can understand, because it's not like growing up in a house. It's like being raised inside a giant mobile workshop that never stops humming. You learn to sleep with the vibrations of engines under your feet. You learn which crates rattle because someone stored parts wrong. You learn which pipes are safe to climb, and which ones get too hot when the engines overwork. And the whole place always smells like heated metal, dry sand, old wiring, and that weird chemical scent that means someone soldered something without proper ventilation. Your chores start young. Not heavy lifting, you're tiny, but sorting parts, identifying connectors, learning what each component does by touch, not by manual. By the time you're 10, you can pick up a circuit board and tell exactly not only what it once did, but what it could be turned into. That's the Jawa way. Not scrap, but potential. Every bit of tech has a second life waiting, and you grow up believing that like a religion. Communication is another big part of your identity. Jawas talk fast, really fast. Your voice is high-pitched but expressive. Excitement, annoyance, humour, all come through in tone and rhythm. Other species usually hear utini and think it means one thing, but it can actually mean about 12 depending on the moment. Your conversations inside the clan often sound like excited birds arguing over who found the shinier prize, but it's actually highly complex and efficient. This is why Jawas negotiating with other species feels like speed-running diplomacy. You can't speak slowly. You feel like you're wasting time if you do. The cultural heart of a Jawa's life is the deal. Not the object, not the profit, the deal, the back and forth, the dance of value, the satisfaction of convincing someone that the droid with one working leg is still worth something. You're born into a community where creativity matters more than strength. Jawas don't force people into trades, they charm them into trades. Half of cellcraft is attitude, and you grow up learning it from your elders like it's stand-up comedy blended with sales training. Tatooine looks different from your height than from anyone else's. The dunes feel taller, the sun feels closer, the wind feels louder. You learn shortcuts through rock clusters, tiny caves where you can duck in for shade, and little pockets where sand doesn't blow directly into your face. You know the rhythm of the desert, the quiet in the morning, the heat building by midday, the softening silence at dusk. You travel through places most people never notice, because most people aren't small enough to fit through half the cracks and passages you use. Your scavenging trips are adventures. You hop off the sandcrawler with a group, and everyone spreads out with scanners, magnets, and tiny tools ready for action. You learn to follow old tire patterns, spot metal glints from a distance, and listen for the distinctive thunk of something good hiding under the sand. A Jawa can find value in a place where others see only dust. Being born into that perspective makes the entire desert feel like a puzzle waiting to be solved. Inside your clan, structure is simple. Elders lead, adults trade, young ones learn. Everyone has their role. Personal space isn't really a thing. You grow up literally shoulder to shoulder with your family. Mealtimes are crowded, loud, cozy, and full of conversations, where 3 people talk over each other, and somehow everyone understands everything anyway. You eat simple food but flavorful, and you learn early that water is precious enough to treat like treasure. Jawa meals always happen in groups, with lots of gestures, laughter, and bragging about who found the rarest scrap that day. If you're born a Rodian, the galaxy already thinks it knows who you are. Blaster in hand, bounty hunter boots on, ready to chase someone across a cantina before you've even learned to walk. That's the stereotype. Greedo did your people dirty. But being a Rodian kid, nothing like that. You don't pop out of the pod demanding bounties. You pop out loud, neon green, and immediately surrounded by 12 relatives who want to hold you at the same time. Your life starts in Rodia's jungles, a planet that looks like someone mixed Dagobah with a theme park. Humid air, watery pathways, giant trees that hang roots like curtains, insects that act like they pay rent, and a swamp smell that sticks to you the way glitter sticks to clothes. It's warm, wet, loud, and unbelievably alive. If Tatooine is a sunburn waiting to happen, Rodia is a permanent sauna session you never asked for. For a Rodian kid, the jungle is your first playground. You slip on moss, chase tiny creatures, grab vines that look stable, but absolutely are not, and learn very early that don't touch that is less of a warning, and more of a suggestion you will ignore at least twice. Your feet sink into mud constantly. You return home every day with a different assortment of plant pieces stuck to your clothes, but that's normal. Rodian childhood isn't clean. It's adventurous, messy, chaotic with a smile. Your family situation? Loud, very loud. Rodian households cram extended family under one roof with no sense of personal space boundaries whatsoever. If Jawas have crowded sandcrawlers, Rodians have crowded jungle homes, where every room has at least one cousin, one aunt, and a pet lizard someone swears is temporary. Rodians talk over each other constantly, and arguments sound way more intense than they actually are, because your species speaks in brisk, energetic syllables with a sharp rhythm. Outsiders hear aggression. Rodians hear family bonding. And speaking of rhythm, your species is expressive. Very expressive. It's not just speech. Rodians move with their whole body when they talk. Hands, ears, snout, posture, all part of the conversation. That's why your family dinners look like a cross between storytelling and interpretive dance. It's dramatic, chaotic, and honestly beautiful. Most clans have at least one relative who tries to deliver every story like it's an award-winning performance. Rodians invented drama long before they invented bounty hunting. But what really shapes you? Your senses. Rodians have sharp smell and sharper hearing, and that's a blessing and a curse. Growing up in the jungle, it's perfect. You can detect predators long before you see them, hear small movements in bushes, sense water sources from a distance. In cities, though, a nightmare. Coruscant smells like burnt metal, fried food, spilled fuel, and 20 million people who all forgot deodorant at least once. On Rodia, your senses give you an advantage. Being Rodian means growing up with a sixth sense for your environment, whether you want it or not. And let's not pretend Rodia's wildlife is peaceful. The place is full of creatures that look cute until you get close enough to realize they have too many teeth. You learn young not to poke anything with glowing eyes or anything that moves without making noise. General rule of survival. You climb trees to avoid swamp beasts. You jump over roots because some roots randomly move. The jungle doesn't hate you, but it definitely tests you daily. And that's why Rodians develop natural agility and awareness. The environment raises you. Now, Rodian history is one of the most interesting parts of your culture, but in a way that doesn't feel like a lecture. Rodia went through periods of clan rivalry, civil tension, and political back and forth that shaped how Rodians view honor. Clan loyalty is huge. Reputation is everything. Rodians may seem chaotic, but they take loyalty seriously. The strongest insult isn't about your skills, it's your clan can't trust you. That hits harder than any blaster bolt. This clan identity also explains why some Rodians become hunters, not because they're biologically violent, but because Rodian culture respects people who prove themselves useful, capable, and brave. Being able to survive in tough terrain is honourable. Tracking is honourable. Completing difficult tasks is honourable. So naturally, when the galaxy opened up and bounty hunting became a thing, Rodians fit the job like they were built for it. Sharp senses, fearless attitude, survival instincts, honed in jungles. That's a recipe for a hunter, whether you ask for it or not. Welcome to Mon Calamari, a planet that is, for all intents and purposes, a single, globe-spanning ocean. And in these profound depths live the Mon Calamari. You look at them, and it's hard not to be charmed. They have these big, expressive, bulbous eyes that seem to take in everything. Eyes designed to see in the dim, blue-hued light of the deep sea, capable of perceiving subtle shifts in current and the faintest glimmer of bioluminescence from a kilometre away. They have high-domed heads, thought to house a complex and nuanced brain, and their skin has a soft, almost rubbery texture, ranging from shades of salmon pink and orange to deep reds and vibrant blues. Their hands are webbed, perfect for gliding through their aquatic home, and they move with a natural fluid grace that land-dwelling species can only dream of. But the first thing you need to understand about the Mon Calamari: they are not warriors by nature, not at all. Their entire culture, their very soul, is built around creation. They are the artists, the architects. They are the guys who would rather spend a decade designing a beautiful, perfect city than a single day designing a new blaster. Their ambition isn't to conquer, but to understand and to build. To them, a blank canvas, or a blank stretch of ocean floor, is the greatest invitation the universe can offer. Their civilization is a marvel of galactic bioengineering. They don't just build on the ocean floor, they build with the ocean. Their cities are magnificent metropolises, encased in massive, transparent biodomes, forged from a super-strong crystalline polymer they harvest from deep-sea geothermal vents. Can you imagine that? Walking through a city where the walls are the ocean itself, with giant, gentle leviathans and schools of glowing fish drifting past like living constellations. Their architecture is all flowing lines and organic shapes inspired by shells, coral, and the gentle curves of ocean currents. It doesn't look built, it looks grown. It's designed to exist in harmony with their environment, not dominate it. This philosophy of symbiotic existence is the absolute core of who they are. They see themselves as stewards of their world, not its masters. Now, let's talk about what life is actually like for an average Mon Calamari. Let's say you are a mid-level aquatic botanist working on improving the yield of the kelp forests that feeds your city, Coral City. Your day doesn't start with an alarm clock, but with the gentle, programmed increase of artificial light in your dwelling, mimicking the sunrise far above on the surface. Your home is carved and grown from a single, giant piece of living coral, maintained by tiny, genetically engineered cleaner shrimp that keep the surfaces pristine. The furniture is soft and malleable, designed to float or be anchored, accommodating the buoyancy of water and air with equal ease. For breakfast, your family gathers around a floating table, eating seasoned kelp cakes and smoked shellfish, washed down with a filtered mineral drink. The conversation is lively, full of complex, melodic language that incorporates subtle hand gestures, a remnant of their aquatic communication. Then you go to work. You don't take a speeder, you take a personal propulsion unit and glide through the designated aquatic transit lanes that connect the city's domes. It's like a morning commute, but instead of traffic jams, tour surrounded by fellow Mon Calamari, the occasional friendly otter-like creature, and the ever-present, awe-inspiring view of the open ocean beyond the dome. Your work is meticulous, patient. You study the growth patterns of the kelp, cross-references data on nutrient flows, and collaborates with colleagues in other domes via submerged comlinks. There's no rush. A project can take years. The goal is sustainable perfection, not quick profit. This is the rhythm of Mon Cala. Life is slower, more deliberate, but this peaceful, artistic existence had a pretty massive complication. They weren't the only intelligent species on Mon Cala. They shared their world with the Quarren, and the relationship between the Mon Calamari and the Quarren is one of the most fascinating and tense cohabitation stories in the galaxy. The Quarren, who we'll get to in a later part, are a more solitary, suspicious people with a squid-like appearance. They often felt like they lived in the shadow of the more outgoing and dominant Mon Calamari, relegated to the darker, deeper trenches, while the Mon Cal built their shining cities on the more desirable continental shelves. It's a classic and sometimes tragic story of two very different cultures trying to share a single home, with alliances shifting like the tides. For the average Mon Cal like Koto, a Quarren might be a distant, somewhat intimidating figure, a neighbour you're polite to but don't truly understand, and with whom there is a long, complicated history of both cooperation and conflict. But the Mon Calamari's true genius, the thing that literally changed the fate of the galaxy, was their shipbuilding. This is their ultimate legacy. Mon Calamari starships are unlike anything else. Everyone else, especially the humans in the Galactic Empire, builds warships. They build for efficiency, for firepower, for intimidation. Think of a Star Destroyer. It's a giant grey wedge, a symbol of brute force and oppression. It's designed to scare you. A Mon Calamari cruiser is the complete opposite. First of all, no two are exactly alike. Because they're designed by artists and visionaries, each ship is a unique masterpiece. They have flowing, organic curves. They look less like machines and more like something you'd find in a deep-sea reef, a majestic space whale, or a graceful, armoured manta ray. They're beautiful, but don't let the beauty fool you. Under those graceful hulls is some of the most advanced and resilient technology ever conceived. This philosophy accidentally made them perfect warships for the rebellion. Because they were so over-engineered for safety and endurance, they could take a beating that would shatter a Star Destroyer. Their shield generators were more powerful, their hulls, modelled on the layered, impact-absorbing shells of deep-sea crustaceans, could absorb incredible punishment, and their systems were so decentralised that you could blow a huge chunk out of a Mon Cala cruiser and it would still be in the fight. Losing a primary power conduit was an inconvenience, not a death sentence. The most famous of these, of course, is the MC-80 Star Cruiser. You know it as Admiral Akbar's flagship, Home 1. That ship, with its distinctive bridge module and curved hull, became a symbol of hope. It was the brain and the beating heart of the rebel fleet, and it was built by a species that would rather be composing symphonies or charting nebulas. Which brings us to Admiral Akbar himself. He is, without a doubt, the most famous Mon Calamari in history, and he's a perfect example of his people. He was a brilliant strategist and a thoughtful leader who was thrust into a war he never asked for. For a long time, they were contented isolationists, happy in their ocean world, building their beautiful cities and ships for themselves. Then the Clone Wars happened, and they got dragged into the conflict, a taste of the galaxy's chaos, and later the Galactic Empire arrived. The Empire saw the Mon Calamari not as artists, but as a resource. They wanted to enslave them, to turn their beautiful, innovative shipyards into grim, standardized factories for the Imperial war machine. The Empire occupied Mon Cala. They oppressed the people, trying to crush their spirit. They imposed their harsh, angular architecture on the flowing cities, built prison camps, and executed dissidents. The gentle rhythm of life was shattered by the stomping of stormtrooper boots on the crystal decks. The transit lanes were patrolled by Imperial submersibles. The dream was under siege, but the Empire made a fatal error. They underestimated the Mon Calamari. You can't crush a dream that's been nurtured for millennia. The Mon Cal, as they're often called, led a fierce resistance from the deepest trenches and the most hidden coral caves. They proved that while they are not natural warriors, when you push a peaceful people too far, when you threaten their home, their families, and their very way of life, they will fight with a courage and tenacity that can shock the most battle-hardened troops. Now we're heading to a world you know well, but we're going to look at it from a very different angle. We're going to Naboo, and we're not visiting the beautiful, human-built cities with their Renaissance architecture. We're going into the swamps. We're talking about the Gungans. Now, I know what you're thinking, and I get it. For a lot of people, the Gungans are a lot. They're the guys with the floppy ears and the mazer talk. They're Jar Jar Binks. And for a generation, that character defined this entire species. But that's like meeting one really clumsy, talkative guy from a small village, and then assuming everyone from his entire country acts exactly the same way. It's just not the case. There is a whole rich, fascinating culture here that gets completely overshadowed by one bumbling individual. First, the world. Naboo is a weird planet, geologically speaking. It's sometimes called the planet of the core, because it has a unique plasma-rich core, and more importantly for our friends, a vast planet-wide watery interior. We're not talking about oceans like on Mon Cala. We're talking about a complex network of underwater rivers, caverns, and air-filled grottos that form a whole world beneath the world. This is where the Gungans live. They are amphibious, equally at home swimming through underwater cities like Otoh Gunga as they are walking on land. And Otoh Gunga is a masterpiece. If the Mon Cala cities are grand biodomes, Gungan architecture is pure, elegant bioengineering. Their cities are built from giant, transparent bubbles made from a secreted, organic polymer. They're held in place by complex magnetic fields and are connected by flowing current tubes. From the outside, it looks like a cluster of glowing pearls resting on the bottom of a lake. From the inside, the view is breathtaking. It's a city of light and water, with buildings nestled inside, the larger bubbles, and Gungans gracefully swimming between them. It's functional, beautiful, and completely in harmony with their environment. Now let's talk about the Gungans themselves. Physically, they're tall and slender, with long muscular legs built for powerful swimming and jumping. Those iconic long ears, called flappers, are actually sophisticated sensory organs. They help with balance underwater, they can express emotion, and they're sensitive to sound and vibration, allowing a Gungan to hear movement in the water around them. They have long, sensitive tongues that can taste the water, giving them information about their surroundings, and their eyes are set on stalks, giving them an almost 360-degree field of vision. They are, from head to toe, perfectly adapted for their swampy, aquatic world. Their society is tribal and clan-based, led by a boss, and their culture is a fascinating mix of warrior pride and deep spiritualism. This is the part that often gets missed. The Gungans are not primitives, they're just different. They have a highly sophisticated understanding of plasma energy and organic technology. Their weapons aren't blasters, they are energy weapons like the Kester, which fires a powerful energy ball, and the Atlatl, which launches toxic bioelectricity-charged boomer projectiles. Their most famous tech, the personal and larger-scale energy shields, are incredibly advanced, capable of deflecting heavy blaster fire and even orbital bombardments for a short time. This isn't crude tech, it's a completely different technological tree based on biology and plasma, not metal and lasers. And their warrior culture is no joke. The Gungan Grand Army is a formidable force. They ride massive armoured Kardu. They command giant fambas that can project the huge defensive shields, and they are trained from a young age in the use of their unique weaponry. When they march to war, as they did in the Battle of the Grassy Plains in the Phantom Menace, it's a coordinated military deployment with a clear strategy. Use their shields to create a defensive line, lure the enemy in, and then use their knowledge of the terrain and their unique weapons to overwhelm them. They were holding their own against a droid army, well, until the tanks showed up. This leads to the big issue, their relationship with the human Naboo. For centuries, the Gungans and the Naboo lived in a state of cold separation. They shared a planet but had almost no contact. The humans in their beautiful surface cities saw the Gungans as primitive swamp dwellers. The Gungans, in their magnificent underwater metropolises, saw the Naboo as arrogant and invasive. There was a deep-seated mistrust on both sides. The Gungan isolationism was a choice. They had a rich, complete civilization underwater and saw no need to deal with the Naboo dryfoots. This is what makes the events of the Phantom Menace so significant. Queen Padme Amidala going into the swamps to ask for help was a huge deal. Boss Nass, the ruler of Oto Gunga, he was representing centuries of his people's grievances and pride. His initial refusal was completely understandable. Why should he risk his people for a surface civilization that had always looked down on them? The alliance that formed, brokered by Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi, but truly sealed by Jar Jar's connection to them and the Queen's humility, was a galactic-scale event for Naboo. The Gungans saw that the Naboo were willing to fight and die for their world. The Naboo saw that the Gungans were a powerful, advanced, and brave people they had foolishly ignored. That battle forged a new planetary identity. Now, let's talk about Jar Jar Binks. It's impossible to talk about this species without addressing him. And here's the take. Jar Jar is without a doubt an outlier. He was a classic fool character, an outcast from his society for being too clumsy. He was the village goofball. But his story is also one of incredible, almost absurd luck and a kind of naive courage that, against all odds, placed him at the center of galactic history. He inadvertently became a war hero, he was appointed a galactic senator, and he was tragically manipulated into giving Chancellor Palpatine emergency powers. His is a story of how even the most seemingly insignificant person can, through a series of chaotic events, change the galaxy for both good and ill. But for every Jar Jar, there is a Boss Nass, a proud and powerful leader. There is a Captain Tarpals, a brave and loyal soldier who gave his life to save a Jedi. There are countless Gungan farmers, engineers, artists, and soldiers living their lives in the beautiful, bubbling cities, completely separate from the buffoonery of one individual. Their spirituality is also deeply tied to their world. They worship a deity known as the Planet Core, believing that all life on Naboo is connected through a sacred energy that flows from the center of the planet. It's a reflection of the fact that Naboo's ecosystem is uniquely interconnected, with the energy of the core directly influencing the surface and the underwater worlds. They have a deep, abiding respect for all living things, seeing themselves as part of a whole, not as masters of it. Now we're heading somewhere different, somewhere isolated. I want you to imagine the sound of rain, a constant, pounding, endless deluge. The sky is a perpetual, bruised grey. The wind howls across a landscape of endless, churning ocean, broken only by a few fragile, towering spires that rise from the abyss like needles. There are no continents here, forests or beaches, only water, storm, and the stark, clinical architecture of a people who have turned their back on the chaotic galaxy. Welcome to Kamino, the planet furthest from the bright center of the universe in every sense. And in these sterile white halls live the Kaminoans. If you've ever seen one, the image is burned into your brain. They are tall, impossibly tall and slender, like walking skeletons draped in pale, smooth skin. Their necks are long and graceful. Their heads are an elongated teardrop shape, with huge black liquid eyes that seem to absorb the light. They move with a slow, deliberate grace, like scientists observing a specimen in a tank. And in a way, that's exactly what they are all the time. The first thing you have to understand about the Kaminoans is their psychology, and it is entirely a product of their world. Kamino is a dying planet. Millennia ago, the polar ice caps melted, flooding the entire surface. Their original civilization was drowned. They didn't have a choice. They had to adapt or go extinct, so they adapted. They abandoned any sentimentality for their old world, for art, for emotion, for what they would see as irrationality. They embraced pure, cold, hard logic and genetic science as the only path to survival. They built these incredible, storm-proof cities on stilts, and they turned inward, focusing on perfecting the one thing they had left, themselves. This is the core of their entire being, perfection. To a Kaminoan, everything is a matter of genetics and measurable quality. Beauty is a matter of symmetry and purity of form. Intelligence is a measurable IQ. Strength is a quantifiable metric. They are the ultimate meritocrats, but a meritocracy based entirely on your biological and intellectual specifications. Emotion, that's just messy, unpredictable chemical noise that clouds judgment. They see it as a flaw. This is why they became the galaxy's premier cloners. It was the perfect industry for them. It combined their mastery of genetics with their cold, transactional view of the universe. They don't see the clone army as sentient beings with hopes and dreams. They see them as product, a very, very sophisticated product, but a product nonetheless. When you walk into the Tipoca City cloning facilities, the Kaminoans aren't monsters twirling their moustaches. They are proud artisans showing off their work. Lama Su, the Prime Minister, talks about the clones with the same pride a master carpenter would talk about a perfectly crafted chair. Magnificent, aren't they? He says. 200,000 units are ready, with 1 million more well on the way. Units, not men, units. This is their normal. Their entire society is built around this hierarchy of quality. They themselves are obsessed with their own genetic purity. Physical imperfections are a source of great shame. You'll notice they all look almost identical. That's not a lack of imagination on the part of the designers. It's a cultural statement. They have bred themselves towards a specific ideal of tall, slender, pale perfection. Any deviation is weeded out. This makes their society incredibly efficient, but also sterile and devoid of the beautiful chaos that makes most cultures so vibrant. There is no Kaminoan art, no music, no literature, at least not in any form we'd recognize. Their art is the perfect helix of DNA. Their symphony is the flawless growth of a clone trooper in its incubation pod. Let's talk about their day-to-day life for a moment. Imagine being born and raised in Tipoca City. The walls are smooth, white and curved, designed to withstand hurricane-force winds. From the moment a Kaminoan is decanted, Their life is mapped out by their genetic and intellectual potential. They are tested, evaluated, and slotted into the role they are most suited for: cloner, geneticist, administrator, archivist. Social interaction is formal, polite, and utterly devoid of small talk. A conversation is an exchange of data. Their language is soft, sibilant, and precise. They don't laugh, they don't cry. They might express a slight, subtle nod of approval for a colleague's efficient work, or a faint, almost imperceptible frown at a statistical anomaly. Their relationships are based on professional respect and genetic standing, not friendship or love. The concept of family is a biological process for them, a matter of combining desirable traits in a lab. The idea of raising a child in a home is as alien to them as their own appearance is to us. This is why their interaction with the Jedi and the Republic is so fascinating. They are completely baffled by emotion. When Obi-Wan Kenobi shows up, dripping on their clean floors, clearly driven by suspicion and a personal mission, they find him intriguingly flawed. They deal with him politely, but you can sense they see the Jedi as somewhat primitive, for all their power. The Jedi rely on feelings, on intuition, on a force that cannot be measured in a centrifuge. To a Kaminoan, that's like trying to navigate a starship by guessing. They provided the Jedi with the most perfect, obedient army ever conceived, and they could not comprehend why a Jedi would ever be concerned about the individuality of a single unit, like the rogue clone they called 99. To them, 99 was a defective product, worthy of pity for his imperfection, but his loyalty was an illogical, emotional aberration. And this is the great, tragic irony of the Kaminoans. For all their obsession with control and perfection, they were ultimately just another piece on the board in a game they didn't understand. They were so focused on the quality of their product that they never stopped to question the why. They knew the order for the army came from a Jedi named Sifo Dyas. They fulfilled the contract. The politics of the Republic, the machinations of the Sith, the moral quandary of creating a slave army. These were irrelevant variables. They were paid, they delivered. The fact that their entire operation was a secret Sith plot from the very beginning never even occurred to them. They were the ultimate technicians, so focused on the how that they became blind to the why. Their fate is a stark lesson. When the Empire rose, they had outlived their usefulness. The Empire didn't need a constantly growing clone army. It was expensive, and they found conscription to be cheaper and just as effective. The Kaminoans, in their arrogance, believed their product was irreplaceable. They even tried to start an uprising, creating a new, superior clone army to challenge the Empire. It was a logical move to them. If your client no longer wants your product, you find a new client, or you remove the competition. But they were playing a logical game against a supremely illogical and brutal opponent. The perfect white halls of Tipoca City were stained with blood. The product turned against its creators. The Kaminoans represent a terrifying path of evolution. They are what a species becomes when it sacrifices its soul on the altar of survival and logic. They are a warning that perfection, without compassion, without curiosity, without the messy, beautiful chaos of free will and emotion, is a dead end. They built an army that defined the galaxy, yet they themselves never truly lived in it. They remained in their lonely, rain-lashed towers, masters of life's blueprint, but completely ignorant of what makes life worth living. They are the ghosts in the machine, the pale, long-necked spectres of a future that chose data over dreams, and in doing so, engineered its own obsolescence. Geonosians, you know these guys, you've seen their planet. It's a dry, dusty, red rock ball that looks like it's been left in the galactic oven too long. And if you've ever seen a Geonosian, the image is distinctive. They're tall, thin, with a sort of crustaceous, segmented exoskeleton. They have these multifaceted eyes that see the world in a way we can't even imagine. And their wings, most of the time they're folded up, but they can unfurl these translucent, vibrating wings and take to the air with this creepy, buzzing sound. They are, for all intents and purposes, a species of intelligent, human-sized, hive-minded insects, and their entire culture is built around that one simple, powerful idea: the hive. First, let's talk about their home, Geonosis. It's not a fun place. The surface is a blasted heath of mesas and canyons, baked by a harsh sun. But the Geonosians don't live on the surface. They live in it. The entire planet is a labyrinth, a maze of tunnels, caverns, and colossal, manufactured structures that run deep into the planet's crust. Their architecture is all organic curves and towering spires, looking less like something built and more like something grown, or maybe secreted. It's all bone white and red dust, and it has this eerie, cathedral-like quality, but for a religion that worships industry and the hive. And that hive mind is everything. Geonosian society is a rigid, brutal caste system. At the top you have the queen. She is the heart of the entire operation, the mother of the hive, the sole egg layer, the absolute monarch. Her word is literally law, and her pheromones dictate the behavior and loyalty of every single Geonosian on the planet. Then you have the elites, the nobles and the scientists. They're the thinkers, the planners. They're often a bit bigger, with more ornate head crests. They direct the work, and then, at the bottom, making up the vast majority of the population, you have the workers and the soldiers. The workers are the muscle. They dig the tunnels, they build the factories, they man the production lines. The soldiers are the sting. They're bred for aggression, with powerful pincers and a fanatical loyalty to the hive. You wake up in the communal sleeping chambers, a vast cavern filled with the rustling and clicking of thousands of your kin. You don't have a name in the way we think of it. You have a function. You follow the scent trails of the hive's directives. Your entire existence is about your task. Maybe today, you are part of a team smoothing a new tunnel wall. You click and chatter with your fellow workers, not in complex conversation, but in simple, efficient communications about the work. Support beam here, plasma conduit there. You work until your body tells you to rest. You eat the nutrient paste produced by the hive's fungus farms, and then you work again. There is no individual ambition, no dreams of a better life. Your purpose is the hive's purpose. Your satisfaction is a job completed efficiently. To us, it looks like a nightmare of soulless drudgery. To a Geonosian worker, it is a perfect, harmonious existence. They are a single, planet-sized organism, and each Geonosian is just a cell fulfilling its role. This hive structure made them absolutely phenomenal at one thing: mass production. They are the galaxy's ultimate industrialists. Their entire economy was based around their massive, subterranean droid foundries. These are the places where the Separatist army was built. Think about that for a second. The endless hordes of B1 and B2 battle droids that fought the Clone Wars, all of them rolled off the assembly lines of Geonosis. The Geonosians didn't necessarily care about the politics of the Confederacy of Independent Systems. Count Dooku and the Trade Federation came to them with a simple proposition. You have the factories, we have the blueprint and the money. It was a business transaction. The hive would build, and in return, it would receive resources and protection. For a species that values industrial output above all else, it was the contract of a lifetime. This is also where we see their dark side. Their culture has a deep-seated love for spectacle and brutality. They have this grand tradition, the Geonosian execution ceremony. They don't just take and execute their enemies, they turn it into a public, gladiatorial event in their giant arena, throwing prisoners, like Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padme, into a pit with a trio of terrifying beasts, like the Nexu, the Reek, and the Acklay. It was a display of the hive's power and a form of brutal entertainment for the ruling elite. It tells you that beneath the cold, insectoid efficiency, there is a capacity for a kind of savage, cruel pageantry. But the Geonosians, for all their numbers and their industrial might, were ultimately pawns in a game much bigger than they were. They were a tool for the Sith. Palpatine needed a war, and he needed an enemy army to fight his clone army. The Geonosians provided the perfect disposable foe, and when their purpose was served, they were disposed of. This is the true tragedy of the Geonosians. After the Clone Wars, the Empire didn't only shut down their factories. They saw the Geonosians as a potential threat, a species that could easily churn out another droid army for a new rebellion. So the Empire enacted a genocide. They sterilized the planet. They used a poison, a chemical weapon that systematically wiped out the entire species. They targeted the egg clutches of the queens, ensuring no new generations could be born. Imagine that. The endless buzzing hives of Geonosis, the hum of 1 trillion wings and machinery, was replaced by silence. The tunnels, once teeming with life and industry, became vast empty catacombs. The species that built the army that defined a galactic war was utterly erased by the very government that war created. The last queen tried to survive, to preserve a future for her people, but it was a futile effort. The empire was thorough, so the legacy of the Geonosians is a haunting one. They were a species whose entire identity was the collective, the hive, the relentless drive to build and produce. They were a marvel of biological and industrial engineering, but they lacked the individual cunning to see the larger political picture. They were used as a cog in the Sith machine, and when that machine was done with them, they were discarded and destroyed. They remind us that in a galaxy of superweapons and Sith Lords, sometimes the most terrifying fate isn't destruction by a laser blast, but the slow, systematic, and complete silence of extinction. They built an empire of industry, and in the end, all that's left is the ghost of their hive, echoing through the empty factories of their dead world. Now, we need to talk about a species that might not look as physically imposing, but who have arguably wielded more power than any army. I'm talking about the Muuns. And if that name doesn't ring a bell, I'll give you a name that will: the Intergalactic Banking Clan. Picture this: you're not on a battlefield, you're in a boardroom. The air is cool, recycled, and smells faintly of polished metal and disinfectant. The walls are a tasteful, neutral grey. Everyone is speaking in calm, measured tones about collateral, interest rates, and galactic monetary policy. This is where the Muuns are most at home. This is their natural habitat. Physically, Muuns are hard to miss. They are tall and painfully thin, with elongated limbs and even longer, slender fingers that look like they were made for counting credits or typing on a datapad. Their heads are long and narrow, with sunken eyes and a generally pale, almost hairless appearance. They look fragile, like a strong wind could snap them in half. But don't let that fool you for a second. Their physical weakness is more than compensated for by the sheer, terrifying power of their minds. A Moon's weapon isn't a blaster, it's a compound interest calculation. Their homeworld is Nikto, and it tells you everything you need to know about them. It's an ice-locked planet, a frozen wasteland where just surviving requires meticulous planning, resource management, and long-term strategy. You can't be impulsive on a world like that. You have to plan your next move, and your next 10 moves after that. That environment forged the Moon culture into one of supreme rationalism, long-term thinking, and a deep, deep appreciation for cold, hard value. Emotion is a liability on Nikto. Logic is survival. And that's how they ended up dominating the galactic financial sector. The Moons don't just run banks, they think in terms of assets, liabilities, and market fluctuations. To them, the entire galaxy is just one giant complex ledger. A planet isn't a world with people and culture. It's an asset with a certain resource output and tax base. A war isn't a tragedy, it's a market event that creates both risk and incredible opportunity. It's because their brains are literally wired for this. They are the ultimate capitalists, and their philosophy is that credit is the lifeblood of the galaxy. Control the credit and you control everything. The most famous Moon, and one of the most important figures in the entire saga, is Darth Plagueis. Yes, the Sith Lord. And it's no coincidence that the Sith Lord, who was obsessed with cheating death itself, was a banker. Think about it. What is the ultimate negative asset? Death, the ultimate loss. Plagueis applied the same cold, calculating, resource acquisition mindset to the Force itself. He didn't seek power for glory or for domination in the way other Sith did. He sought it as a means of achieving the ultimate solvency, immortality. He was conducting the most audacious financial takeover imaginable, a hostile acquisition of life itself. His apprentice, Palpatine, learned this lesson well. He didn't only take over the galaxy, he first crippled it financially, putting the Republic so deeply in debt to the banking clan that it was essentially bankrupt before the first clone ever fired a shot. But let's step away from the Sith for a moment and look at the average Moon. You are a mid-level financial analyst for the banking clan branch on Scipio. Your day starts precisely at 5 AM. You consume a nutritionally balanced paste, the same paste you have consumed every day for the last 20 years, because it is efficient and meets your body's exact requirements. There is no fashion on Nikto. There is only function and a complete lack of frivolous expense. You take a speeder to your office, a sterile cubicle with a breathtaking view of the glacial canyons of Scipio. For the next 12 hours, you analyze debt portfolios of mid-rim star systems. You see that the Ryloth system is behind on its loan repayments due to pirate activity, and you coldly calculate the probability of default. You recommend increasing their interest rates by 1.4% to mitigate the risk. You do not think about the Twi'leks families who will be pushed further into poverty by his decision. That is an emotional, illogical variable. You have simply balanced the risk against the potential reward. Your satisfaction is purely mathematical. A well-balanced ledger is to you a thing of beauty. Your social interactions are just as transactional. A conversation with a colleague is an exchange of data. The Corellian sector's third quarter growth is underperforming projections by 2%, one might say. You would reply, "Acknowledged. I will adjust the long-term yield projections for their infrastructure bonds." This is their version of small talk. At the end of the day, you file your report, receive a notification that your performance is 98.7% efficient, and feel a quiet sense of accomplishment. You go home, listen to a mathematically perfect composition of ambient sound, and go to sleep, ready to do it all again. Your entire life is a cost-benefit analysis, and you're constantly striving to be in the black. This is why they were such perfect allies for the Separatists. The Confederacy of Independent Systems needed an army, and armies cost money, a staggering amount of money. The Muuns, through the banking clan, provided the financing. They didn't care about the separatist cause of independence. They cared about the collateral, the resource-rich worlds that pledged their mines and their factories to secure the loans. They were playing both sides, of course, because that's what good bankers do. They had also loaned massive sums to the Republic. No matter who won, the banking clan would end up owning a larger piece of the galaxy. It was the ultimate hedge fund. They were the house in a galaxy-wide game of Sabak, and the house always wins. The Muuns represent a very specific and very scary kind of power. It's not the power of the Force, which is mystical and unpredictable. It's not the power of a military, which you can see and fight. It's the quiet, insidious power of the balance sheet. It's the power to strangle a planet's economy without ever firing a shot, to decide the fate of billions with the stroke of a key. They are the masters of the universe's most powerful weapon, debt. And in a galaxy constantly tearing itself apart with war, the one constant, the one thing everyone needs, is the cold, calculating credit of the Muuns. They are a reminder that the most dangerous predators don't always have sharp teeth. Sometimes they just have very, very sharp pencils. They proved that the most effective way to conquer a galaxy isn't with a fleet of star destroyers, but with a flawless credit rating and a monopoly on the money that makes everything else move. Humans. It feels almost weird to say it, right? Because in Star Wars, humans aren't special. We're not tougher than a Zabrak. We don't have the natural technological genius of a Mon Calamari or the financial acumen of a Moon. We don't live for centuries like some species, and we can't survive in the vacuum of space without a suit. Physically, we're average. Decidedly, unremarkably average. We're the galactic everyman. And that, my friend, is our secret weapon. Look at the galaxy. Who's in charge of the Empire? Humans. Who leads the Rebel Alliance? Humans. Who are the most famous Jedi and the most terrifying Sith? Overwhelmingly humans. The crime lords, the smugglers, the farmers, the senators. Humans are everywhere, like moss on a rock. We are the galaxy's great generalists. We are adaptable, we are relentless, and we are driven by a chaotic, messy, and unpredictable mix of emotions that more logical species simply cannot handle. Think about it. A Moon looks at a problem and sees a spreadsheet. A Kaminoan sees a genetic sequence. A Geonosian sees a blueprint for production. A human looks at a problem and sees 1,000 different possibilities, fueled by hope, fear, love, ambition, greed, and a stubborn refusal to accept the status quo. We are not optimized for one thing. We are jacks of all trades, and in a complex galaxy, that is a profound strength. Let's talk about our home. Now, Coruscant is the galactic capital, the throne of the Republic, and later, the Empire. But it's more than that. It is the ultimate monument to human ambition. We didn't just build a city on a world, we paved over the entire planet. We built a single, planet-wide ecumenopolis that stretches from pole to pole, a towering layer cake of a civilization that has been built, destroyed, and rebuilt for thousands of generations. The lower levels are a sunless underworld of crime and forgotten machinery, where people live and die without ever seeing natural sunlight, while the upper levels gleam with political power and incredible wealth, touching the very void of space. It's chaotic, it's unsustainable, it's probably a nightmare for urban planning, but by the stars we did it. It represents our drive to conquer our environment, to reshape it entirely in our image, for better or worse. It's a testament to our inability to leave well enough alone, and our sheer, overwhelming numbers and organizational skill, for all its flaws. But to understand humans, you can't just look at the grand scale. You have to look at the small personal stories, because humanity's power isn't in its empires, it's in its individuals. Take a day in the life of a human on Coruscant, specifically you. You're a mid-level logistics coordinator for a shipping company. Your day starts in a small apartment on level 2347. The artificial sun strips in your ceiling brighten at 0600 standard time. You grab a synth caf and a nutrient bar, check the traffic reports for the air lanes, and join the millions of others in their daily migration to work. Your job is to make sure cargo containers from Corellia don't accidentally get routed to the Ryloth system. You dream of a promotion, maybe moving to a nicer apartment on a higher level with a better view. You worry about your family back on your homeworld. After work, you meet friends for a drink at a cantina that plays music from a dozen different cultures. You're a single, seemingly insignificant thread in a vast tapestry. But your life, your hopes, your small struggles, this is the real substance of human civilization. It's not the emperor on his throne, it's billions of yous going about your lives, connecting, building, and persisting. This relentless, everyday persistence is our engine. It's what drives us to climb into rickety starships and head into the unknown regions, not because we're great explorers by nature, but because someone told us we couldn't, or because we're running from something, or because we have a desperate, foolish hope that there's something better out there. It's what makes a moisture farmer on a backwater desert planet like Tatooine stare at the twin suns and dream of being a starfighter pilot. It's what pushes a Sith Lord to crave ultimate power and a Jedi to seek ultimate peace. We feel things deeply, and we are willing to burn down the entire galaxy or die trying to save it because of those feelings. We are the only species that seems to consistently operate on this wild spectrum of self-destruction and self-sacrifice. And nowhere is this chaotic emotional spectrum better illustrated than in the Skywalker family. Is there a better example of the human condition in the entire saga? You have Anakin, a kid born into slavery, powered by a terrifying amount of raw talent and a deep, desperate, all-consuming fear of loss. His love for his mother, and then for Padme, is so intense it becomes possessive. It's a wildfire. His fear is so powerful it curdles into rage and paranoia. He is sold a lie by Palpatine that he can cheat death, the most human of all desires, to protect what we love, to defy the inevitable. And in his blind emotional pursuit of that impossible goal, he becomes a monster. He is humanity's potential for darkness, amplified by the Force, our passion turning to obsession, our protectiveness turning to tyranny. And then you have his son, Luke. Raised in relative obscurity, he is driven not by fear, but by a hope that seems naive to everyone else, a hope so stubborn that he believes there is still good in the galaxy's most feared enforcer. He doesn't win the final confrontation in Return of the Jedi by being the most powerful Jedi who ever lived. He wins by throwing away his lightsaber, the symbol of the conflict, and appealing to his father's remaining shred of humanity. I am a Jedi, like my father before me. It's an act of faith. It's emotion defeating logic. It's the son redeeming the father through love. That entire storyline is a human family drama played out with the fate of the galaxy at stake. This capacity for both immense good and horrific evil is the human paradox. We are the species that produced Sheev Palpatine, a man so consumed by a lust for power, so brilliant in his manipulation, that he orchestrated a galactic war, pitting clones against droids, just to make himself emperor. He is the embodiment of human ambition, stripped of all morality, a predator in a politician's robes. And we are the species that produced Leia Organa, who dedicated her entire life, from princess to senator to general, to fighting for freedom and justice. She never gave up, even when the cause seemed utterly lost. We are capable of breathtaking cruelty and unimaginable compassion, often in the same person, sometimes in the same afternoon. An imperial officer might go home to his family and read his children a bedtime story, a picture of tenderness, after having signed the order to glass a rebellious planet. That dissonance is uniquely, terrifyingly human. Our diversity is our shield and our tool, because we aren't locked into one biological or cultural way of thinking. We can fill any niche. We can be the rigid, orderly imperial officer who genuinely believes he is bringing peace and stability to a chaotic galaxy through control and fear. We can be the scruffy-looking nerf herder smuggler who just wants to be left alone and has a heart of gold buried under a mountain of cynicism. We can be the wise old hermit living in a swamp, having renounced the world after seeing its darkness, or the hotshot pilot who flies by the seat of his pants and makes the 1-in-a-million shot because he doesn't have the time to calculate the odds. This adaptability has made us the galaxy's great colonizers and integrators. You find human communities on ice worlds like Hoth, desert worlds like Tatooine, and jungle worlds like Kashyyyk. We build communities, import our cultures, and create new hybrid societies. We are the glue, for better or worse, that connects the galaxy. Our tendency to spread and our generalist nature mean we form the bulk of every major organization, providing a common thread that runs through the myriad of other species. And that's the final beautiful and terrifying point. In a galaxy of incredible, specialized, amazing aliens, humans are the wild card. So while we may look at the Wookiees and admire their immense strength and fierce loyalty, or the Kaminoans and admire their chilling precision, we should look at ourselves and see our boundless potential. We are chaos with a lightsaber. We are hope in an X-Wing. We are the proof that you don't need to be the strongest, or the toughest, or the smartest to change the galaxy. You just need to feel something. Love, hope, justice, even anger, strongly enough to get up and do something about it, for better or for worse. Our history is a roller coaster of glorious triumphs and shameful failures, often happening at the same time. And in the end, that messy, complicated, beautiful, and infuriatingly unpredictable drive is what makes us, for all our flaws, one of the most formidable and fascinating species in the entire Star Wars galaxy. We are the authors of our own story, and we refuse to let the universe write it for us. Now, we're doing a complete 180. We're heading into the territory of a species where the individual is everything, where strength is the only virtue, and where your worth is measured by the trophies you take. We're talking about the Trandoshans. You've seen these guys. They're the big, scaly reptilian humanoids who are usually scowling. They've got sharp teeth, claws that look like they can shred Durasteel, and these intense slitted eyes that just scream predator. If you're a Wookiee, you already know all about them, and you probably don't have many nice things to say. But there's a lot more to the Trandoshans than just being the Wookiees' eternal rivals. First, let's talk about their homeworld, Trandosha. Also known as Dosha, it's a harsh place, rugged with dense jungles, rocky badlands, and plenty of big, nasty creatures that would love to have a Trandoshan for lunch. It's a world that doesn't coddle anyone. You're either strong enough to survive, or you become part of the food chain. This environment shaped the Trandoshan people into what they are: brutal, practical, and with a deep-seated belief in the law of the jungle. The strong survive, the weak perish. It's not a philosophy to them, it's a simple, observable fact of life. This is where their most famous cultural pillar comes from, the scorekeeper. The Trandoshans worship a goddess they call the scorekeeper. And she's not a goddess of mercy or wisdom, she's a goddess of the hunt. Their entire belief system is built around the idea that the scorekeeper keeps a literal tally, a score, for every Trandoshan. You gain points by hunting powerful prey, by winning fights, by proving your strength and skill. The more impressive your trophy, the more favour you have with the goddess. A great hunter is blessed with good fortune, long life, and respect. A weak Trandoshan is ignored, scorned, and believed to be cursed by the scorekeeper. This isn't a weekend hobby. This is their religion, their economy, their social structure, all rolled into one. From the time a Trandoshan is old enough to hold a weapon they are taught to hunt. Their coming-of-age ritual involves a solo hunt for a dangerous animal. Their status in their clan is determined by the trophies they've collected. The bigger and more dangerous, the better. This is why they often become bounty hunters, mercenaries, and slavers. For a Trandoshan, taking on a dangerous bounty, it's a religious pilgrimage. Capturing a live Wookiee, one of the most physically powerful species in the galaxy, is like the ultimate offering to the scorekeeper. It's the highest scoring prize they can imagine. And that brings us to the 500-year grudge with the Wookiees. It's a holy war for the Trandoshans. They see the Wookiees as the most worthy prey, the ultimate test of a hunter's skill. The Wookiees, on the other hand, see the Trandoshans as vile slavers and butchers who desecrate their homeworld of Kashyyyk. The two species have been at each other's throats for centuries, with raids and counter-raids becoming a bloody tradition. A Trandoshan who has a Wookiee pelt in their trophy room is a Trandoshan who commands immense respect. But let's be clear, the Trandoshans aren't mindless brutes. Well, some are, but their culture does produce cunning strategists and brilliant trackers. A successful Trandoshan hunter, they're patient, clever, and resourceful. They know how to lay traps, how to track their prey across a dozen star systems, and how to use intimidation as a weapon. Bossk, the famous bounty hunter, is a great example. He's a professional. He's methodical. His whole thing is hunting Jedi, which you have to admit takes a special kind of crazy courage. He's living the Trandoshan dream, going after the highest value targets imaginable. Their society is clan-based and it's fiercely hierarchical. Your clan leader is almost always the most successful hunter, the one with the highest score. Disputes are often settled through combat. It's a messy, violent way to run a society, but for them, it's the only way that makes sense. Why would you let a weakling lead you? How could a weakling possibly understand the will of the scorekeeper? This focus on the individual hunt is also their greatest weakness. Trandoshans are notoriously difficult to organise on a large scale. Getting them to work together as a cohesive army is like herding Neksu. Every warrior wants the glory for themselves, and they're often more interested in their personal score than the overall objective. This is why, despite being fearsome fighters, they've never built a massive, galaxy-spanning empire like the humans. They're raiders, slavers, and mercenaries, not empire builders. So when you look at the Trandoshans, you see a species that is the product of a harsh world and an even harsher religion. They are brutal, yes, they can be cruel and merciless, but in their own eyes, they are not evil. They are simply living according to the only truth they know, that the universe is a hunt, and you are either the hunter or the prey. They choose, every single day, to be the hunters. They live and die by their strength, their skill, and the trophies they collect, always watching, always hoping that the scorekeeper is looking down on them, and that their score is high enough to earn them a place of honour in the great hunt beyond. Now we're going back to the water, but we're not revisiting the graceful philosophical Mon Calamari. No, we're going deeper, into the darker, colder trenches of the same planet. We're talking about the other half of Mon Cala's story. We're talking about the Quarren. If the Mon Calamari are the idealistic, forward-thinking architects of the ocean, then the Quarren are the cynical, practical, salt-of-the-sea labourers. You look at a Quarren, and you know you're not dealing with a dreamer. They have a distinct squid-like appearance, with tentacles dangling from their lower face, leathery skin that can range from tan to a deep purple, and eyes that are often described as piercing and suspicious. They look tough because they are. Their home is the deep ocean, a place of immense pressure, chilling cold, and sudden violent danger. That kind of life doesn't breed philosophers, it breeds survivors. Their society is a complete contrast to the Mon Calamari. Where the Mon Cala build beautiful bubble-like cities on the continental shelves, the Quarren prefer settlements in the deep-sea trenches and volcanic vents. Their architecture is functional, sturdy, and carved from the rock itself. This difference in habitat reflects a deeper cultural divide. The Mon Calamari look up towards the light and the stars. The Quarren look down into the dark, mysterious abyss. It shapes how they see the world. The relationship between the Quarren and the Mon Calamari is one of the most complex and tragic neighbour stories in the galaxy. For centuries they shared a planet but lived separate lives. The Mon Calamari, with their outgoing nature and talent for large-scale projects, became the dominant, surface-interacting species. The Quarren, more isolationist and independent, often felt like second-class citizens in their own world. They saw the Mon Calamari as arrogant, as taking charge without their consent, as soft dreamers who didn't understand the harsh realities of the deep. There was a deep-seated resentment, a feeling of living in the shadow of their more famous neighbours. This resentment made them incredibly vulnerable to manipulation. When the Clone Wars broke out, the Confederacy of Independent Systems saw an opportunity. They went to the Quarren and offered them a deal. Side with us against the Republic, and you will no longer have to live under the thumb of the Mon Calamari. You will be the dominant power on Mon Cala. For many Quarren, this wasn't a hard sell. It was a chance to finally seize control of their own destiny, to flip the planetary power structure on its head. It was a cynical, practical move, born from generations of perceived slights and a desire for self-determination, even if the allies they were climbing into bed with were, well, a bunch of corporate interests and a Sith Lord. So, the Quarren Isolation League was formed, and they plunged their shared world into a brutal civil war. This period was devastating. It was brother against brother, neighbour against neighbour, all playing out in the familiar waters of their home. The Quarren, with their knowledge of the treacherous deep-sea trenches and their tough, no-nonsense fighting style, proved to be formidable opponents. They weren't fighting for some grand galactic ideal. They were fighting for what they felt was their rightful place in the world. But here's the thing about the Quarren. Their pragmatism can be a weakness as much as a strength. While the Mon Calamari are often driven by long-term ideals, the Quarren are driven by immediate, tangible gains. This makes them fantastic short-term strategists, but sometimes poor long-term judges of character. They allied with the Separatists to gain independence, but failed to see that they were just trading one master for another, and a far more ruthless one at that. The Separatists didn't care about Quarren independence. They cared about Mon Cala's strategic location and the Mon Calamari shipyards. After the war, this pragmatism is what allowed them to eventually reconcile, albeit uneasily, with the Mon Calamari. They saw the rise of the Empire, they saw the true face of their former allies, and they made the cold, hard calculation that a united front with their old rivals was better than annihilation. It wasn't a warm, fuzzy reconciliation, it was a tense, political necessity. But it held. You even see Quarren serving alongside Mon Calamari in the Rebel Alliance, and later the New Republic, a testament to the fact that when the water gets cold enough, even ancient rivals can learn to swim together to avoid drowning. So, the Quarren are a vital counterpoint to their Mon Calamari cousins. They are the grit to the Mon Cala's grace. They are the reminder that not everyone is a starry-eyed idealist. Some species are forged in the dark and the cold, and their wisdom is a cynical, practical one. They value independence above all else, sometimes to their own detriment. They are stubborn, proud, and fiercely capable. They teach us that history isn't just made by the dreamers who look to the stars, but also by the tough, pragmatic survivors who know how to navigate the darkest depths. Now, we're heading to a world where the air is thick, the smell is memorable, and subtlety is a concept that never really caught on. We're talking about the Gamorreans. You know these guys. You saw them standing guard in Jabba the Hutt's palace, green-skinned, hog-faced, and looking like they're one bad thought away from a headache. They're big, they're brutish, and they've become the galaxy's go-to image for a low-rent, muscle-bound thug. But there's a little more to them than just being the hired help for a gangster. Not a lot more, mind you, but a little. First, their homeworld, Gamorre. This place is a testament to the idea that nature is trying to kill you. It's a planet with a toxic, swampy atmosphere, vicious predators, and flora that's often just as happy to eat you as it is to photosynthesize. It's a rough, nasty world, and it produced a rough, nasty people. This is the core of the Gamorrean psyche. They are a species of pure, unadulterated brawn. Their society is built around this. It's a tribal, clan-based system, and it's fiercely, violently matriarchal. That's right, the women are in charge, and it makes a brutal kind of sense. The sows, the females, are the planners, the strategists, the clan leaders. They are the ones who manage the resources, plan the raids, and make the big decisions. The boars, the males, are the warriors. Their entire purpose, from birth, is to fight. They are the muscle. They are the ones sent out to battle other clans, to defend the village and to prove their strength. A Gamorrean boar's worth is measured by the scars on his hide and the enemies he's vanquished. They don't have philosophers or poets, they have champions and raiders. This leads to their most famous cultural trait, their love of axe-based combat. Gamorreans have a deep, almost spiritual connection to their axes. These aren't just weapons, they're status symbols, heirlooms, and extensions of their own bodies. They are masters of the vibro-axe, a terrifying weapon that can cleave through armor and bone with a satisfying hum. They disdain blasters as cowards' weapons. Where's the honor in killing someone from a distance? Where's the visceral proof of your strength? A true warrior feels the impact, sees the whites of their enemy's eyes, and gets covered in the proof of their victory. It's a messy, personal, and deeply satisfying form of combat for them. Now, you might be wondering, if they're so tough and have such a rigid society, why are they always working as low-level guards for Hutts and other crime lords? The answer is simple: economics and ambition. Gamor is a poor planet. Their technology is basic, focused on warfare and survival. They don't have a lot to offer the galactic economy, except for one thing: their bodies. A Gamorrean boar is a natural-born guard. They are fiercely, if simplistically, loyal to whoever pays them or shows them strength. They are intimidating, just standing there. They follow orders without overthinking them, and they are tenacious in a fight. For a crime lord like Jabba, they are the perfect disposable security force. They're cheap, they're scary, and if one gets disintegrated, there are 100 more back on Gamor willing to take his place. But this doesn't mean they're stupid. They're just specialized. Their intelligence is practical. They understand hierarchy, loyalty, and combat tactics on a visceral level. They can assess a physical threat instantly. They just don't see the point in abstract mathematics or political debate. Asking a Gamorrean to understand galactic economics is like asking a fish to appreciate a desert. It's just not in their frame of reference. Let's imagine a day in the life of a Gamorrean boar. Let's call him Gort. He's not a chieftain, just a warrior from the Boulder Rend clan. His day starts at dawn with a loud snort and a stretch. He's slept in a communal hut with a dozen other boars. Breakfast is a hunk of roasted, unidentifiable meat from a creature he helped hunt yesterday. There are no utensils. After eating, his chieftain, a massive sow named Grunker, assigns the day's tasks. Some boars will patrol the perimeter for rival clans or predators. Others will train with their axes in the muddy practice yard. Gort's task today is to help fortify the village's main gate. He spends hours hauling massive logs and stones, his powerful muscles straining. He doesn't complain. This is his purpose. This is what he was born to do. In the afternoon, a scout reports a rival clan is hunting in their territory. Grunker gives the order. Gort feels a surge of excitement. He hefts his vibro axe, and with a guttural roar, he and 20 other boars charge out to defend their land. The fight is short, brutal, and decisive. They drive the rivals off. That evening, back at the village, there's a feast. The boars boast about their exploits, showing off new cuts and bruises like badges of honor. Gort feels a deep, uncomplicated sense of satisfaction. He protected his clan. He proved his strength. For a Gamorrean, it doesn't get any better than that. If you've spent any time in the seedier parts of the galaxy, you've seen a Nikto. Maybe you didn't know the name, but you've seen them. They're often working as enforcers, bodyguards, or pilots for the Hutt cartels. They have a reptilian look with tough leathery skin, and their most distinctive feature is their face. It's not designed to win any beauty contests by human standards. But every ridge, horn, and bump on a Nikto's face tells a story about their ancestry and the world they come from. And that's the first crucial thing to understand about the Nikto. They are not from one world, they're from a system. Their home is the planet Kintan, which orbits a dying red sun. But Kintan itself has 5 wildly different moons, and over millennia, the Nikto species evolved into 5 distinct subspecies, each adapted to the harsh environment of their specific moon. This isn't just a minor physical difference, it fundamentally shaped who they are. You have the Kajines Nikto, the red Nikto from the desert moon. They're the most common ones you see. They have those awesome, 2 big head tusks and a face that looks like it's been carved from sandstone. Their skin is red, and they have a secondary transparent eyelid to protect them from sandstorms. They're tough, resilient, and can go forever without water. Then you have the Nikto, the green Nikto from the forest moon. They have a single horn and a more greenish hue, better suited for camouflage in jungle canopies. They're known for being particularly agile and sharp-eyed. There's the Esral Nikto, the mountain Nikto, pale-skinned and adapted to the thin air and cold of the high altitudes. The Glussasa Nikto, the pale Nikto, who live in the frozen caves and have almost white skin. And the Mishento Su Nikto, the southern Nikto, who are aquatic, with webbed hands and feet and gills on their necks. So right from the start, the Nikto are a people of incredible diversity and adaptability. They had to be, just to survive on their own messed up worlds. This shared history of hardship, of evolving on 5 different brutal mini-worlds, forged them into a people who are naturally tough, pragmatic, and fiercely loyal to their own clans. Their society back on Kinton was a feudal system, a constant state of war between these different clans. It was a brutal, honor-driven culture where strength and martial prowess were everything. This is why they fit so perfectly into the Hutt Empire's structure. When the Hutts discovered Kinton, they didn't see 5 warring subspecies. They saw a ready-made, highly motivated army. The Hutts, being the brilliant manipulators they are, offered the Nikto a deal. Stop fighting each other and come fight for us. We'll give you technology, starships, and a place in our empire. For the Nikto, this was a golden opportunity. It was a way to channel their warrior culture into something that offered tangible rewards beyond just conquering the next valley over. They became the backbone of the Hutt military for thousands of years. This long service bred a deep cultural loyalty to the Hutts. To many Nikto, serving a Hutt Khajidik, or clan, isn't only a job, it's a tradition, it's a mark of honor. A Nikto bodyguard doesn't just protect his Hutt's boss because he's paid, he does it because his grandfather and his grandfather's grandfather did the same thing. It's in their blood. This is why you see them everywhere, in Hutt space. They're the pilots of the Hutt fleets. They're the guards at the palace doors. They're the enforcers who make sure debts are paid. They are the Hutt's mailed fist. And they're good at it. They're strong, they're fearless in battle. And they have a reputation for following orders without question. In a galaxy of backstabbers and opportunists, that kind of loyalty is priceless. But let's not pigeonhole them as just dumb muscle. Their adaptability means you find Nikto in all sorts of roles. Sure, many are warriors, but their talent isn't just for swinging a vibro axe. A desert-born red Nikto's understanding of survival and terrain makes them a fantastic scout or tracker. A green Nikto's agility and stealth make them excellent assassins or commandos. You even find Nikto who have broken away from the Hutt tradition entirely, becoming independent mercenaries, bounty hunters, or even, though it's rare, smugglers and pilots working for themselves. See a history of clan warfare and ancient pacts written on their face. See a natural warrior who has turned their talent for survival into a galactic-scale profession. They are the ultimate testament to the power of adaptation